He wanted me to like do chores naked. And I'm like, you try cleaning a bathtub with your titties hanging over it, but I digress. Like whatever, get the bag.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Today, we're speaking to a woman who reached out with the email subject line, "Being a domestic slave and sugar baby almost killed me and saved my life." Very interesting. So we've got the guest on the line, and thank you so much for being on today.
Great. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, of course. We have spoken to someone in the past who had a domestic slave, but you have been in a position where you were acting as a domestic slave for people. To kick this off, can you give us your definition of what a domestic slave is?
Yeah, so definitely roles reversed here. I would kind of say it's more of like a handy little helper, and I mean handy literally, where you do chores, you kind of just like live in as like a little nurse, but then you also indulge in other physical chores with like sexual things. And yeah, it's pretty much like in the name, but all encompassing.
So what kind of stuff are you doing around the house before we get to the sexual stuff?
You want to know about the chores first?
I'm just curious, like what would be on the, like, you know, a typical day?
Yeah, that's valid. So for me, I was definitely into the more like older gentlemen, so it can kind of vary with the age. And I kind of did a varied, you know, array of people, but the most longevity ones, I took care of like their family. Like he had an older dad that lived with him, so I cooked meals for him and I took care of him. Again, you know, washed his bed sheets, and he also had a bunny, so I took care of his bunny, and then you know, cooked meals for everybody, and that varied. Lots of different like dessert ideas, like very casual. Cleaned the bathroom, took his car for like oil changes, grocery shopping, typical stuff like that like any nanny or maid would do.
Okay. Are you getting paid for any of this?
Sometimes it depends. Like with one partner, I got paid like $1,000 a night sometimes. Like if they just wanted like a weekender, I did stuff like that. And then for the one I was with the longest, it was more of like the exchange of goods. So I got like a new laptop, or he helped me pay off my car. It was more of like,
okay,
like that kind of payments. So it kind of trapped you in it a little bit. So I couldn't save up to get out, but it also, for me at the time in my life, it worked out.
Okay. So, and you're living, so let's use this older gentleman as an example. In this case, you're living in his home?
Yes. Yeah. I did 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Okay. So you're kind of running his life, doing all these chores, taking care of his family. And then when you're in this domestic slave role, you then essentially have to do anything that he asks. And as you mentioned, that includes sexual activity.
Absolutely. Yeah. I, of course, had the freedom to have limits, just like, you know, the harsh lines where you say, no, this is a red line I won't cross. But, you know, for most anything else, I was pretty much beck and call. Like I would wear what he'd want. I would watch what he want me to watch. I would sleep with handcuffs and ankle cuffs on.
Oh.
Yeah, that was.
Was that like a fetish thing or a don't leave my house thing?
You see, in hindsight, I'm like, well, maybe he didn't want someone like rummaging around his house at night, like stealing his shit. Because that was also the fossil, like paleontologist guy. So I'm like, maybe that was why he wanted that. But also maybe it just like, you know, really shucked his corn to have someone, you know, sleeping next to him all chained up.
That's gotta take some getting used to.
You know.
Yeah.
I've never heard that expression before. Really shucked his corn. So what were your like red lines?
You know, I have raging IBS, so anal's kind of like off the table.
Got it. Okay.
But I mean, gotta be real. And there are things that I had experienced like prior in like the scarier situations where I'm like, hey, I probably won't do that again. So I kind of added them to the list, like period play, stirring the paint, if you will. I wasn't super into that, but of course, like my lines were always negotiable, just depending on the moment. Just in that point in life, I was kind of like, if he really wants it, that almost turned me on enough to push those lines a bit, just knowing how bad he wanted it. But I also like don't really want to get cut with knives or, the super extreme stuff. If I end up passing out during the sex, not really tickling my fancy. So I'd
Okay.
add that to the list too.
Yeah. And I'm asking about the red lines too, because is there, once you've established those of like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you use the word like, I'm at the beck and call, like, can you say no? Like in those moments, or are you like in agreement that like, I won't say no? Like as long as it doesn't cross that line, I will always, be in the mood, or, I don't want to do the dishes right now, but I gotta, it's like, can you ever say no or put things off or something like that?
At first, definitely not. I always had the freedom to do things in my own time, but by the time he was done with his workday, everything had to be done, or else there would be consequences. Because it was also like a dom sub type thing. I know that there's some domestic, slaves that aren't that way, but for me, it definitely was, where he got off on like the dominance of it all and the punishment types, which weren't, like a spanking, like the typical like you're naughty punishments, but like it would definitely vary, like having to kneel on peas, like old Catholic schoolgirl style.
Wait,
like all
what?
kinds of like
Neon
punishment.
what?
Neon peas.
You never heard of that?
What's
like where
neon?
you in
No, not
Catholic school,
neon.
like
Kneel on.
No, I know.
Oh, I thought they said neon peas.
What is it?
like you kneel onto like frozen peas, so they like dig into your
And
skin.
it hurts.
Oh, I've
Ooh.
never heard of that.
Oh, for real skis? Yeah, it was like an old Catholic thing where like you would do that and pray, kind of like reminiscent of like the walking on your knees on gravel to go pray and shit.
Oh, wow.
That's
I know
kind of
people
dark.
get creative.
Yeah. So, okay. So part of his thing was coming up with these type of creative punishments for you.
Yeah.
So he wants to punish you though? Like, is that part of the dynamic too of you intentionally getting punished, or did you not want to be punished?
There were sometimes I was definitely wanting to be bratty and like get a punishment. Not the kneeling on peas, wasn't quite into that, but there's like the paddles and stuff, like where it would be like a little spanking. And like
Classic.
he would always blindfold me, and sometimes I would do it just to like get out of other chores. Like the punishment would kind of take more time than it would have taken for me to like have to cook dinner that night, and then he would get me takeout instead. So I kind of tried to play my cards right, and I did have the freedom to say no as time went on and we got more comfortable with each other. So it was less of that like beck and call, but at first it was definitely like, hey, bend over, and I would just have to pause what I'm doing.
Wow.
How do you find these gentlemen?
Classically sugarbaby.com. like
There you go.
Yeah, just like the classic website. I was, young. I was 19 when I started doing this. And I just went on there, and it went from regular sugar baby stuff, which is like, let's be real, no offense, it's just glorified prostitution. Like, I don't know what else to call it. Unless you're like a true sugar baby where you never touch the dude, which I find so incredibly rare. For me, that's my perspective on it. So
how did you get into
from like the one-nighters to this?
How do you get into this domestic slave element? Because that's kind of a big jump from being a sugar baby, no? Giving up that type of freedom, the punishment aspect.
Yeah, definitely it is. It was still on that website, and they're kind of like, just like with Tinder, you're able to put on your preferences. And for me, I was just a wide open book. I was young and I was like, hey, let's do anything. And I would find guys that wanted someone to come stay with them. And it went slowly from, the conversations like, hey, what are you comfortable with? Do you want to come stay with me for a night? Or, hey, maybe 3 nights, or would you do chores? And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's drop a contract and stay with me 2 weeks.
Oh,
or,
wow.
There's paperwork?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
definitely.
I guess that's
Um,
good.
it is. Yeah.
There's
I
a lot
tried
of
to be
communication
relatively
up
smart.
front. Yeah. Because it feels dangerous. Like I mean, that helps to know that there's the vetting process, but yeah, like Joe said, like you find these people and how do you trust them to just go live in their homes, get chained up to their beds? Like that's scary, no?
Yeah. Oh yeah. As a 30-year-old woman now, I'm like, what the fuck? Like you're absolutely silly to be doing that. To like a person that is 19. I was definitely stupid at first. Like me talking like, oh, contracts and conversations and yada yada. Like that was a couple years down the line. And when
Mhm.
I found someone like I trusted a bit more, like I had been with them a couple times before we decided on the domestic slave route. But at first, I had quite a few scary instances where I was not safe and did not vet the person at all.
What were some
And
of
and
those
that,
experiences?
yeah.
What were some of
Sorry.
the scarier experiences that you
Oh,
learned from?
um, so the one that first like jumps to mind was one of my earlier guys. Hadn't been with him before, talked online. Like lived in like a bigger city, so I didn't have a car at the time, and he came and picked me up. Didn't want to go to dinner, didn't want to go out anywhere. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Even telling the story now makes me feel silly as shit. But he picked me up and said, "Hey, I just want to take you home. My roommates are gone for the weekend. Let's just have you like come stay with me for a weekend, and you can just act like." You're like my maid and we'll do this fun little weekend role play. And I was like, fuck it, whatever. Let's get some dough. So I get to his place and it's like dark. Like this fool did not want to turn on lights. And I'm like, am I that ugly or what? But it was probably more of something else that ended up happening. But he wanted me to like do chores naked. And I'm like, you try cleaning a bathtub with your titties hanging over it, but I digress. Um, like whatever, get the bag. So, um, he would just like watch me, and I didn't know the full capacity of it until later. But he had cameras everywhere,
Oh, wow.
and I did not know this. And he at first had me sleep in for the first night, slept in a guest room, and sleep naked, all of that. Um, I didn't know there were cameras in the room at the moment, but he came in the room and just like watched me sleep. And I would wake up and he was just in the corner of the room watching me.
Oh,
Yeah, come on.
And I'm like,
that would
okay,
terrify me.
oh, absolutely terrifying. And he's like, this is my thing. Like, this is what I want, man. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to yuck your yum. So I guess I'll just fucking let you watch me sleep. And it got creepier and creepier where he would ask me like to maybe take some NyQuil and go to sleep and I'd really knock out and he
Whoa.
would just be able to like watch me and do stuff. And I'm like, I'm not super into that. But hey, I'm 19, like I'm young, I'm stupid. So I agreed to it. I'm fucking dumb. Oh my God, telling the story now, Jesus. So I was like, okay, I want to get a little loopy doopy. So I took some NyQuil. But of course, like I was 19, a teenager and fresh out of college. Of course, I smoke weed, I take NyQuil. So it didn't knock me out the way he thought it would. And I wake up to him like trying to fuck me while I'm asleep.
Oh, come on.
And I
Oh,
guess that was his thing. And I woke up. He did not like the fact I woke up. And so he started to choke me and was like very violently talking about like he wanted to get me pregnant. I was like, oh, gross, one of those like, breeders. And so like I was getting choked and his roommates come home. And that's literally what stopped him. And I don't know what would have happened had he had just kept going or his roommates didn't come up. I don't try to dwell on it. So he stopped and was like, shit, my roommates are here. And he just like got up and left. He didn't drive me home. He didn't say anything. I just grabbed my stuff and I dipped.
what the fuck?
And he didn't text me. He blocked me on everything. I like had to get an Uber back home and I just kind of took a break for a little bit. But that was probably like the scariest instance.
Jeez. And that was one of your first experiences.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you end up doing this and trying this again. So I'm just curious, what is the origin of this interest and willingness to keep trying? Was it purely a money play? Like you were young and you wanted money, or why do you think you kind of got to the point where you even wanted to try this and kept trying it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like tale as old as time. Like when someone's abused when they're young and they choose to deal with it, a lot of people teeter-totter where they'll either be like asexual, don't want to do anything and kind of shy away from it all. And then there's other people like me who end up being like hypersexualized a bit. And your body kind of turns into like transactional instances versus like your body's a temple kind of shit. So that's probably like the origin of it, where I'm like, well, if I'm gonna like work in McDonald's and get customer service jobs, or I could just like be on my back and make a bunch of money, why not? Because, body's already used, right? Of course, pre-therapy and all that, but that's kind of like the very origins. And then also turning 19, I didn't really want to work. This seemed easy. It seemed, relatively fun until that happened. And of course, there's others where like they were more violent, wanted to just like beat on me. And I was never one to just like be chill with that. So I just would move on. But what made me want to keep going was just changing my tactics, getting to know them more, getting their information, sending it to a friend and say, this is the address I'm going to tonight. Being very like open with like what I'm into and what I'm not, and just advocating for that instead of going with the flow and then realizing like their flow is, Niagara Falls level of flow.
Right.
And I'm looking for more like Nile River flow.
We're just going to take a very quick break from the show to tell you about a couple of sponsors that we have. Squarespace is an all-in-one website design platform to help you stand out online. So whether you are launching a business, if you have a business that you're looking to scale to the next level, Squarespace is your one-stop shop to create a website with everything that you need, personalized and customized for your business. Squarespace makes it easy. They have a ton of award-winning design templates that you could choose from. They have a very simple drag and drop system so that you can throw in any feature that you need. I have used Squarespace so many times. I use it for this website. I've used it for our other show, The Basement Yard. So we have done things like sell tickets on websites. We use Other People's Lives Squarespace website to get all the contact, all the information of the guests who reach out to be on the show. So important stuff. We've also used Squarespace to sell products. You can upload videos, you can showcase content. So really the range is extremely wide. I also love Squarespace because the analytics are easy to read, and it can teach you a lot about your customer base, your users. They have a ton of SEO tools. You can run email campaigns through them. You can take donations if you want to. The best part is all of this seems so hard. It seems so difficult to get to the point where you have a website that looks extremely professional. But then when you do it yourself and you realize how easy it is through Squarespace, it's kind of shocking. So I recommend this to anyone. Again, if you have a service, a business, if you're looking to promote yourself or your brand, definitely check out Squarespace. And you can head to squarespace.com/OPL. You're going to get a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code OPL to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So squarespace.com/OPL, you're going to get that free trial. Make the website, use all the features, see how amazing it actually is. And then when you're ready to launch, use the offer code OPL. You will save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. In reality, shopping for clothes seems like it would be fun, but I feel like it rarely is. I always get excited for these days. Like I'm either going to online shop or I'm going to go to a store. I'm going to try all these things on. I'm going to get all this amazing stuff that I want to wear. And it just never seems to work out that way. I end up stressed from just constantly trying things on that don't fit, or I'll even panic buy things and I come home and it's like, I don't even want this. This isn't even my style. This doesn't fit. The quality is not good. It's very stressful. Luckily, Stitch Fix makes this entire process so much easier. With Stitch Fix, a personal stylist sends pieces that match your size, style, everything's within your budget, so there's no guesswork, there's no stress, and you're gonna like the clothes that they send you. So all you do is you sign up, you take this quick style quiz. That's where you share all your info, including your budget, and then you get matched with a real human stylist, like an actual person that's going to help you through all the things that you want. And then they're going to send you personalized pieces. So the box comes in the mail, and then you just get to go through everything. You keep what you want. If there's things in there you don't want, free shipping, boom, right back. And then this cycle continues, and you love your clothes. It's incredible. The shipping and returns are always free, and there's no subscription required. Plus, you get a free try on for your first fix. So get started today at stitchfix.com/OPL to get $20 off your first order. That's stitchfix.com/OPL. Now back to the show.
Okay. So were there moments of this journey that you really did enjoy? Like, does part of you like this experience when it is going well and the communication is there and you're vibing with someone?
Yes. Yeah, I had a regular who I would go and just, cook for him and pretty much act like a little wifey for like a week. And he was so kind, so nice. He was also the one that made me call his friend and ask him to gangbang me, but he
Wait,
was
what?
super nice.
Was that part of the...
You just threw that in there like it was...
I mean,
Okay.
it was always nice though. He was kind. So he would just have me over, and I would always clean his house, like deep clean his house. And he would just like, I think he did like sports betting and shit. So he would just like go do his fantasy sport things with his guys and talk with them. And I would hear him talking about it, and I'm just doing all these chores. And then when the evening came, he would want to just like fuck on his couch, never his bed, which is like, okay, rude, but whatever. And he was like a divorced dad. So his pictures of like his kids are up on the wall and shit. It definitely felt very domestic. And so we would just fuck on his couch, and he would always make me call the same guy and like beg him to come and join us. And he would always say no until one time he said yes. And that was fun as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. That was definitely a fun fantasy to live out, like getting double teamed by two guys who don't just want to degrade you. Like the vibe was just for like pleasure for pleasure's sake. And that's the shit that like really kept me going, was just like pleasure of it all. Like when I found those times and the partners that just wanted to like experience each other's bodies in like wild, crazy ways versus like the masochistic, like I just want to punish you because I'm into that kind of play. So I was with that guy on and off for at least like a year before I met like my permanent guy who kind of got me out of it.
Oh, you met your partner through doing this?
No, sorry.
Oh.
No, like the permanent, like domestic slave guy I was with the 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off for like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That was like your full-time job, basically.
And like that final guy, he's still a friend. My husband knows him.
Oh, so you are married now?
Yeah. Oh, you're married with kids.
Your husband knows that guy and like all the history?
Yeah. Yeah. He knows everything.
Wow.
So
How soon into that relationship did you drop all that information?
It was like before we got engaged, because we were talking about wanting to get married. I was like, well, I want to be fully transparent with you about everything before we decide to like take that step. And I've known my husband since the 8th grade. So like we've always been friends, and then it turned into more when we reconnected. So we had that level of comfort, and I'm fully transparent with most people about this. Like I want them to like learn from my mistakes or reflect on their own life and, gain perspective from my experiences. I'm not like ashamed of it at all. So a lot of people know that I've done this.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too, because you mentioned that at a certain point you would, send the address to your friends and whatnot. Like, are your friends supportive? Like, did they think it was strange what you were doing?
Yeah, I think so. They were supportive, but also thought it was strange. Like they would want the details, kind of like the I'm interested in a twisted kind of way thing. And like I'm, like all of our friends are very like open sexually. We're very comfortable with each other talking about it. So they kind of use me as like, I don't know, a fun storyteller.
Well, you definitely have some stories.
All the kinky details.
So you did say in the email, it almost killed you, which I think we understand. But you said that this also saved you. So what do you mean by that? Can you talk about, you said that partner that became permanent also got you out of this. So what was that transition period into becoming a wife and a mom, coming from, you know, being a domestic slave for someone?
Yeah, I think it really, like, in all honesty, scratched an itch that, like, I needed to scratch in order to fully heal from things that happened in my past, including the earlier domestic slave thing where the guy, I don't know how far he would have gone before being stopped, and then the other ones who just wanted to, like, degrade me and emotionally just absolutely ruin me. I almost would rather get punched in the face over and over again by guys than have the emotional manipulation that others tried to do to me. So that I was coming out of one of those where he was just absolutely horrible to me, but kept reeling me back in because I ended up getting feelings for him. And it was only a few months, but it was like years worth of abuse, like emotional abuse.
What type of tactics? Like what? It's just interesting to hear about the type of men who find themselves in these roles too. Obviously,
right?
like
Yeah.
the physical abuse is understandable, but what do you mean by just being degraded emotionally?
Yeah, like he's, you know, you'd think like if you're the one reaching out to women and wanting this, you wouldn't be treating them like trash doing it. But it was someone that he came to live with me, but I was the one being the domestic slave. It was so backwards because he was just like a guy that lived with his parents and he was like 32. No offense, but you know, and I had an apartment and he wanted the whole domestic slave bit, but didn't have a place to do it. So he ended up moving in with me and he did the love bombing at first where he was like, man, I'm really feeling this connection. I know you're just a maid. It was like some Bridgerton shit. Like, oh, you're just but a lowly maid, and I'm getting feelings for you. But oh, it's so wrong. And then all of a sudden, once I developed said feelings, he was like, "You're actually garbage," and would say just horrible, mean things. Like he called me autistic once, which is like wild, but like not an insult. But he tried to make it one. And I said that hurts my feelings. He was like, "Well, why are you trying to make me feel like the bad guy?" Like the typical, you know, gaslighting shit. And
So,
he's like, well, I don't want to be with someone who's a whore because I like posted a picture on my Instagram that like maybe had, you know, my bra strap. And he's like, you're just a whore and I don't want to be with someone like that. And then I'd be like, please, and like beg for him to come back. And then he'd come back and all this whole thing would come again. And it was like months of this just heightened awareness of like what I'm doing wrong constantly. If I cleaned something wrong or
I feel
went
like
5 miles above the speed limit, he'd like spit on me in the car, like crazy shit.
I feel like a lot of these experiences would affect most people to the point where they may have a difficult time transitioning into a, you know, like a relationship like the one that you're in now. So can you kind of talk about that? Like when you reconnected with your husband, like how was that process, like transitioning into a relationship that wasn't this domestic slave? It's more of like a partnership. Was that strange?
Yes. Yeah, especially because I ended up marrying like a totally vanilla man. Like the complete opposite of what I envisioned. And I think it's solely because of my last slave experience. And I guess I'll just go into that because it will lead into how I got back with my husband. So right after my last like bad experience, I ended up trying one more time on the Sugar Baby website and saw a guy who's a paleontologist and kind of just put that in his bio of probably for a conversation piece. And I said, hey, I went to school for what?
That's a sick job.
I know, right? But I was an ecologist in college and was like, hey, I'm also in the environmental sciences. And we started talking about that first. And then he said, I have a fantasy of having someone live with me and all this stuff. And I said, hey, well, I've done that before, but I'm a little hesitant. And he said, well, I'll pay you for that. And also if you help me with my paleontology work.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And he lived 2 states away from me. And so I said, look, like I have family here. I can't just like leave full time. So why don't we just start with 2 weeks and see how it goes? And I go there and he is so kind to me. Like what I didn't expect it at all for someone, especially like he was 40 years my senior.
wow.
I was sick. Like I was emaciated. Like weighed half of what I should have. Barely was eating, was like afraid of food. Just like it turned like the little things that were building up over time with the kind of bad choices I was making and not vetting people. And, you know, it kind of weighs on a person, I think, doing that work. And I just I couldn't tell. I can't look at pictures of myself at that time anymore I just didn't know. You're blind to it. So he, picked me up from the airport and talked to me just about like expectations of like the chores. He has a sick dad, a bunny, all that stuff, but also the paleontology stuff. And he just like put me to work. And kind of eased into the sexual stuff. And of course, like the chained up to the bed, it was like not chained to the bed, but like my ankles were chained together and my hands were chained together, like old school jail stuff.
Okay.
So like I could get up to go to the bathroom, but he would hear it. And I think that was what he wanted. Like he wanted to be able to hear me moving around and stuff. And he had me wear kind of like Lolita shit, like the frilly dresses and stuff like that. Which looking back is kind of weird, but I digress. And I kind of got into the chore life and then also worked with fossils like, giant sloth skulls and juvenile T-Rex legs and all kinds of cool stuff that I got to prep. And we went digging in Monterey Bay and found a bunch of fossilized stuff. And I would go to gem and fossil shows in Tucson and sell them to people. And I felt like a sense of purpose again. I can't really show people the pictures of that because I had this huge collar on for like all of the prepping photos. So I have to explain to people, it's like, oh, the fashion back then.
You were forced to wear a collar, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's kind of like the dom sub stuff, like aspect that kind of we leaned into during that time where like I would just wear a collar and it kind of showed the ownership of it all. But it also, for me, it gave me that like sense of purpose. That I was like fulfilling the needs of someone else, even though I couldn't fulfill them for myself. And he kind of filled that in for me and like bought me whatever food I craved. Took me to lavish dinners. Like my 21st birthday was spent in like a Westin and I was like pampered and bought like a huge mink fur coat. And like, he just absolutely treated me like royalty. And I just was his little live-in slave and it was perfect for years. We did this on and off thing. And then all of a sudden it turned into like me being able to speak up for myself more and say, hey, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. But I love him. I loved him like a friend. It turned into like a beautiful friendship and he let me move away from the domestic slave stuff. And of course he always would make inappropriate like sexual comments towards me and would still want to do the sexual stuff, but always respected when I said no. And I just kind of went straight into paleontology work instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It just kind of turned into that. And we still did the gem shows. I did his social media for a while. And then all of a sudden there was weeks where I just didn't want to go down there. And it kind of fizzled. Like it didn't have a break off point. That was like a huge breakup. Like we stayed friends and still, asked me questions about paleontology and, saw me, graduate with my other degree and kind of saw me like turn into a person again.
That's so interesting. Just like the perfect ending where he just, I guess, kind of understood. And then, so in that time when you were kind of transitioning out of that domestic slave role is when you reconnected with your husband?
Yeah. It was a pretty quick turnaround. Like by the time I finally cut things off and said, like, I think I'm ready to move on and start being my own domestic slave. For me, I ended up like getting a message like, hey, I saw you were in this city and I was in that too. And I was wondering if you wanted to reconnect. I'm like, oh, actually I'm home now. And he ended up being home now too. And we went out to a bar and started talking and spent 6 hours just talking and catching up. And then the rest, they say the rest is history, but it truly was. Like we reconnected and kind of transitioning from the domestic slave relationship to an actual relationship was so jarring.
Yeah, it seems that you
Because
also had like this phase of, this phase of like you're in, but also not in, and now you're getting like it was kind of gradual. So it wasn't this like hard, going from this to that. Like that, I would feel like would be just near impossible almost. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you were able to sort of transition out slowly on your terms. And I mean, from the way that you speak about it, it seems like probably the ideal way for that to go.
I think so. I definitely think so. I can't imagine what it would have been like to just like cold turkey it and then try to like it was hard enough. Like first time we tried to have sex, he's like, "Well, I'd like to get to know you a little bit more," and I'm like, "What? You
Oh, with your husband?
do what?" Yeah, I was like, "You what? You don't want to punch me in the face?"
And you
Like,
did
it was,
say
yeah.
pre-therapy before, so I assume there's a part of your life now as you're kind of transitioning where you're now confronting your past more and that trauma that you went through. And where do we find you today? Just as a happy mom and wife, like, are you still kind of doing work in therapy, like about your past? Do you feel healed? Is it an ongoing journey? How do you describe it?
Yeah, I did therapy for like on and off for a while. It was a lot of just like verbal processing through stuff. The past trauma, it kind of it like never resolved, and I just had to be okay with it never resolving, and come to terms with that. Um, just I think it was just my husband. Like he's just my absolute rock. We've been together for 8 years now, married for 5. Um, we taught abroad for a few years and getting out of the country and like experiencing the world and making it just such a bigger place shifts your perspective a lot. And now, I mean, I just had twins last year. Um, and now, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like I said, like my own little domestic person. I find it just terribly ironic. But yeah, I'm still my kinky self. Like I still want to be degraded in the bedroom by my husband. And I say like, like he knows if there's ever like an orgy he wants to go to, I'm game. Like I'm still, kinky weird, but I'm also able to compartmentalize it and say like, no, these times with my husband alone are special.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's another time, I can move that to a different shelf.
Sure.
So,
Well-
you can't change me forever.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time and telling us about this journey that you had. Definitely have some insight now of what that life is sort of like and the dangers of it as well.
Yeah, we're glad you're safe too,
Yeah.
and ended up where you are today. I'm sure it could have ended up differently, and I'm sure it ends up differently for other people in that position, which is sad. But I'm glad this has a happy ending.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I hope that if there's some little twink out there that can listen to this and just say like, hey, maybe not, like that would be so great. If just one person could hear this and just change their way a little bit of how they approach things. There's a lot that I could have avoided and a lot that I did avoid because I was lucky. It wasn't for any other reason than my luck. I'm so happy that I am safe and happy and able to live a fulfilling life now.
Yeah, no, that's really strong advice. We appreciate that. All right, well, we wish you the best of luck, and I guess maybe you'll get that orgy one day with your husband.
Jesus.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a bunch. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well,
It's a route. It's a route you can go.
it's definitely like terrifying, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so scary. I mean, the situation that she kind of described, and also admittedly being like, man, I was young and not really thinking this through. So, I mean,
Which
to
is
each their
probably
own.
when that starts. Like if you're going to get into that.
Yeah, you got to be very careful and vet people, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's a crazy role. Also, like on the other end, I mean, it obviously takes a certain type of person to be sort of like the dom in that situation and in control. But that's just like, you just have someone doing everything for your, like, I don't know. I feel bad when like the cleaning lady comes to my house.
Yeah, I clean my apartment before the cleaning lady gets there because I'm like, I don't want her to.
The pre-clean cleaning lady.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not
Like I don't want to be rude.
Yeah, I tried to take out boxes while she was there the other day, and she was like, "No, put it down." And I was like, "No," I was like, "I'm going to help you. There's a lot of them." She's like, "Put it down." I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And she made me put it down.
Meanwhile, other guys are like, get naked, take out all the boxes, meal prep for me. But
Put these cuffs on. Yeah, no, we're glad she's okay, and you know, no judgment. Obviously, like you do some things in your life, and now she's, you know, wife and kids, got twins. Congrats on that, by the way. I didn't say that on the call, but
yeah,
you know, congratulations, and yeah,
you just, I mean, you just never know what someone's been through on their journey to get where they are. So
very interesting.
It's seemingly normal too from the outside. But then if you knew what this person has gone through,
there are some experiences for sure.
It's also fun, like remaining friends with someone that used to just like shackle you up at night. I don't know. Yeah. Also, didn't ask this. What did that guy's dad think?
Yeah.
Like, was he like in a vegetative state or was he like,
I have no idea, but shackles at night and dinosaur bones during the day is quite a itinerary there. But for anyone out there who would like to be a guest on our show, hit us up. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, follow us at OPL Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, new episodes every 2 weeks. So we'll see you then.
See ya.